Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining us. I'm Congresswoman Yvette D. Clarke, and I proudly represent New York's 9th Congressional District, and that is Central and South Brooklyn. I'd like to thank all of you for joining me for our Heal Brooklyn series about this critical discussion about grants for restaurants and shuttered venues. I'd also like to thank the majority of the United States Senate, a constituent and dear friend of mine, the majority leader of the New York State Senate, the US Senate, my dear friend, my constituent, Senator Chuck Schumer, for joining us today. I also want to extend my thanks to the panelists for giving us of their time and helping us to fully educate ourselves on how to fully navigate this process. Restaurants and venues make up more than half of our district's small businesses and are the backbone of our community. You have served on the front lines of this pandemic, and now the world knows what we here in Brooklyn have always known, that you are essential. Many of you have provided direct assistance to people irrespective of whether they were able to pay. You have fed many, filled a demand that could not have been met through government resources alone. So I want to thank you. Thank you for all of your efforts. You are truly appreciated. It is in that spirit that Senator Schumer and I were able to secure the Restaurant Revitalization Fund and the Shuttered Venue Operations Grant Programs. The purpose of this forum is to inform, educate, empower, and update you on the critical relief we were able to secure. I've advocated for each of you throughout the pandemic to make sure that restaurants have the same access to this critical assistance as other nonprofits. So take out your pen and paper or your laptops and tablets, whatever helps you to take notes, because we will be unpacking a lot of very critical and crucial information. To guide you on the protocols on how to apply for these grants and what they cover, we are going to have Elizabeth Abreu and Robin Daniels, who are economic development specialists from the New York District Office of the United States Small Business Administration. They will give us a comprehensive breakdown of how to apply, what materials you will need, and how to receive assistance in the application process. We also have Commissioner Janelle Doris of the New York City Small Business Services, who will join us after my colleagues address you. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome my dear friend, colleague, and constituent, U.S. Senator, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. I guess our dear senator has not joined us as of yet, and so we are then going to pivot and ask Commissioner Donald Doris Jonelle Doris to speak with you and share with you what the New York City Small Business Administration or Small Business Services are doing to help get the word out about these two very important programs. Commissioner, it's a pleasure to see you once again, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Clark, and certainly we are so appreciative of your incredible advocacy for small businesses in Washington and right here in New York City. Just as evident as we gathered on Saturday to honor Dr. Hastic for all the great work that he's done, but certainly your input into our community has been invaluable. And throughout the years working with you and seeing you do the work that you do just tirelessly for us, we just want to say thank you on behalf of all the small businesses here in the city of New York. You know, and of course, I know he's on the way, and I think this is, like you said, pivoted. Many of our small businesses had to do that during the pandemic. So certainly Senator Schumer has been a champion fighting for small businesses as well. We just want to thank him, our majority leader, for his consistency and his tenacity fighting on behalf of New York City and our entire nation. For those who do not know us, we are the New York City Department of Small Business Services. We are the city agency tasked with helping you unlock economic potential and create economic security for all New Yorkers by connecting New Yorkers to good jobs and also creating stronger businesses and building thriving neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs. During the pandemic, the city has provided resources and shifted our practices to ensure restaurants in particular have a fighting chance. Restaurants shut down at no fault of their own, unable to open, and when they did reopen, had many restrictions, and really an industry that has been targeted and hit so hard at this time during the pandemic, including our shuttered venues as well. And so the city made some adjustments. We changed our open restaurant program. We made it very accessible for small businesses, and to the tune of 11,000, I believe we have right now in that particular program out of the city's 27,000 restaurants. And also here at SBS, since the beginning of the pandemic, we've assisted small businesses across the city, 134,000 services to small businesses, and connected 4,000 small businesses to PPP. About $300 million of PPP resources. Again, another federal program. And then, of course, we have here programs, grants, and loans, et cetera, to another 142 million to 5,000 businesses plus that we've helped throughout this pandemic. So we're excited to be here. Our colleagues will be here to present a little bit later about our resources and the things that we have to present to all small businesses across the city. But we did launch our Fair Share campaign, NYC, for restaurants. We just want everybody to be aware of that. That was to help the small businesses access the federal government information and also their programs, particularly the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. And so we want to make sure that all the restaurants who are on know that the city is here also to assist, along with our colleagues at the Small Business Administration on the federal level, to make sure you have all the resources that you need to continue to survive and eventually thrive again in this new world in which we live. So thank you so much to you, Congress Member Clark. Thank you to your team and staff. Eric Parker from our team will be sharing more details on our services, and we hope make sure that he will stay on to answer your questions and to give you any updates that you may need. So thanks again, Congresswoman, for your time.
Well, thank you for your time, Commissioner, and thank you for your steadfast commitment to the small businesses of the city of New York. The hard work you do day in and day out has given the mandate for reopening our city and given the mandate for the timing of this. I think that the work that you do each and every day to undergird our restaurants, our venues, our small businesses, our entrepreneurs is extremely critical at this moment. And I just thank you for your passion for all things entrepreneurial. And now to give us the main presentation and a wealth of information, please welcome Ms. Elizabeth Abreu and Robin Daniels from the Economic Development Specialist from the Small Business Administration, New York District Office. Thank you for joining us, ladies, and we're ready to dive in.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Abreu. I am the Economic Development Specialist in New York District Office, SBA, along with Robin Daniel, who's a Lender Relations Specialist, and with Miriam Colon, one of our resource partners to Small Business Development Center. Allow me to take this opportunity to thank Congresswoman Yvette Clarke for having the SBA and the Small Business Development Center, and everyone who's attending today. This presentation we'll be looking at is the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which is known as RRF, and the Shuttle Venue Operation Grant, which is SVOG. We will also address any other questions that you may have today. Okay, next. Next. Okay, this was part of the American Rescue Plan Act. It became public on March 11, 2021, and it's established for the RRF. The American Rescue Plan Act, I was allocated $28.6 billion, and we still think we need more. Authorized the SBA to award this fund. All this fund must be used no later than March 11, 2023. Next. SBA may provide funding up to $5 million per location, not to exceed $10 million total for applicant or affiliated business. Minimum award is $1,000. Next. Here are the lists of all the eligible business that are not permanent closed and includes business where the public or the customer assemble for primary purpose of being served food or drink. The list includes restaurant, food trucks, food car, caterer, bars, saloons, lounge, snacks, coffee shop, bakeries, and my favorite, ice cream shop. Next. As of March 3rd, who is ineligible? Well, state or local government operation business is not eligible. As of March 13, 2020, owner or operates together with any affiliated business more than 20 locations, regardless whether those locations do the business under the same or different names or different industry. Pending application on the shuttle venue is you have a pending application on the shuttle venue operation, you're not going to qualify. Publicly trading company, not qualified. If your business has been permanently closed, not qualified. Not-profit organization, not eligible funding at least $1,000. I want everyone to keep in mind, if you have a PPP, a Paycheck Protection Program pending, you can't not qualify. You got to make sure you got to withdraw that in order to submit the RRF. But we'll get more information on that. So who's next? So who's eligible form organization? The C Corp, the S Corp, partnership, limited liability corp company, sole proprietor, sole employed individual, independent contract, and trial business, and LCC, and S corporation or sole proprietor. Just a note, B corporations are eligible, but they will be selected either as a C Corp or S Corp on the application, depending on how they tax. Refer to your tax return to see the self-employed versus the sole proprietorship and see how different they are. Now, I'm going to turn it to Robin Daniel, who's going to be talking about franchise. Robin, it's yours.
Okay, thank you, Liz. So, who is eligible? Any business concern operating as a franchise and meeting all other requirements, all other requirements are eligible. The franchise must be listed on the SBA franchise directory And in the application portals, applicants will be able to look up the entity on the SBA franchise directory. Like I stated, if you're not in the directory, you are not eligible. If you can get your franchisor to submit a franchise disclosure document or any other agreements with any other documentation, you can go to franchise@sba.gov and sign up there to get reviewed and approved from SBA. Next. So who else is eligible are bankruptcies? Bankruptcy applicants that are operating under an approved plan of reorganization, either under Chapter 11, 12, or 13 bankruptcy and meet all program requirements are eligible for funding. Now, the ones that are not eligible are permanently closed, if you filed a Chapter 7 liquidation, or filed for either Chapter 7, 11, 12, or 13 bankruptcy, but is not under an approved plan of reorganization. Now, just note, permanently closed does not include businesses who temporarily close their doors due to state or local restrictions or other pandemic causes, but are still in operations after or have been reopened. Next. So revitalization funds, what are eligible use of the funds? You can have business expenses, which means payroll, utility payments, maintenance. You have supplies, including PPE. You have food and beverages expenses, and also including raw materials. Supplier costs, and you can also have operating expenses that include insurance, marketing, and fees. Construction fees, construction of an outdoor seating, but expansion costs are ineligible. Now, business debt, payments on business mortgage obligations, both principal and interest, and you also have business debt services that you can use for both principal and the interest. Also, meaning if you move your location to another location, you're not eligible. If you expand your indoor dining, that is not eligible. Next. Now, this one is, how do I calculate my funding? Now, applicants in operations, for calculations 1, applicants in operation prior to or on January 1st, 2019, you must use your 2019 gross funds minus the 2020 gross receipts minus your PPP loan amount. For calculations 2, applicants that began operations partially through 2019, you would use your average 2019 monthly gross receipts times 12 minus your 2020 gross receipts minus your PPP loan amount. Just note, applicants that begin partial operating in 2019 may choose to use calculations 2 or 3, which is on the next slide. However, calculation 3 does require a longer processing time. Now, how do I calculate it? How do I calculate my fund amount? Now, this one is calculations 3. Applicants that begin operations on or between January 1st, 2020 and March 10th, 2021, and applicants not yet open who have incurred eligible expenses as of March 11th. Total amount spent on eligible expenses between February 15th and 2020 and March 21st. You must make your list minus your 2020 as well as 2020 gross receipts and minus any PPP loan amounts. Okay, so next. How do I apply? You can actually go directly to SBA's platform, which is restaurants.sba.gov. You can also go through our point of sale vendors, And anybody listening, SBA is actively looking for partners to be more of a POS, which is a point of sale providers. And you can actually go through the telephone number, as you can see, and you can actually do the application on the telephone, but there will be a little bit longer processing time. Okay, next. Now, this is a list of the documentations that you will need in order to apply for all three calculations. They're all similar, but with calculations 3, there are additional documentation, as they stated, that is preferred, such as a CPA comfort letter. You're going to need eligible expensive internal or external prepared financial statements. You're also going to need your 2020 gross receipt tax returns, and they'll also accept your point of sale report if you have that available. So with that, that's the end of my slides. I'm going to transfer it over to Miss Miriam Colon, which is our resource partner, and she will go through the rest of this and also talk about the shutter venue operations. Okay, Grant. So Miriam.
Well, first of all, let me just thank you ladies so much for breaking down what is required of our entrepreneurs in order to avail themselves of the RRF program. As was stated, our next panelist is Ms. Miriam Colon, who is the acting director of Organization of Latino Entrepreneurs at New York City College of Technology. It's my honor to have you with us today. Miriam, thank you for joining us. Oh, Ms. Daniels is back.
Okay, evidently Miss Miriam is not on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up her part, and when we get to the SVOG, I'll do a little explanation. So how do I apply? So with that, you can actually go to nope, that's the wrong slide. Go back to the other slide, please. Right. Okay. So, you can go to the hotline. There is a hotline, and the telephone number is the 800-844-279-8898. You can go to our local resources, which is the small business development centers. We have SCORE. We also have our women's business outreach centers, as well as veterans outreach centers, and all of them are able to assist you in applying for the RRF. And we also have multiple languages that is available. Next slide, please. So the best practices: please provide complete documentations. As is stated, applications with incomplete documentations will be rejected, and you will have to actually start all over, and that would delay you in some form of receiving your rewards. Leverage your resources. While not required, the use of a CPA or any accounting professional will actually be able to help you through the RRF. Not stating that it's so hard that you can't do it, but when it comes down to the calculations, so that you know what you're doing and you get the right amount of funding, those things are suggested. Application corrections. SBA is not able to make corrections on behalf of the applicant. If you're gonna make a mistake and you need help fixing it, you are required to call the hotline, which is the 844 number. And the applicants who still intend on applying for PPP are advised to complete their application in advance of the RRF. Now, the next slide. When can I apply? So the pilot period has already started, And priority period days are the first 21 days, and that SBA will actually accept applications for eligible applicants in form of women-owned veterans and or socially and economically disadvantaged applicants will only be funded during that period. Day 22, everybody else get thrown into the pot until all funds have been exhausted. So now, what are the priority groups? Right now, you're doing small business concerns that have at least 51% owned and managed daily business operations controlled by either a woman, a veteran, or socially disadvantaged. And applicants must certify that they meet these eligibilities. Now, I'm going to get an example of exactly who can qualify. If an applicant has 5 owners, each owner has 20%. You have 2 owners that are veterans. One of them is socioeconomically disadvantaged individual. They're going to say that those people actually require they are eligible to apply because it shows that they are 51% owned by the priority group. Now, the next slide. Now, entities that are reorganizing for purpose to qualify for the priority period will automatically be disqualified from the award. So if you feel like mixing in some veterans and socially disadvantaged and women and you coming up with stuff, you can't do it on a whim. You're gonna have to, because you have to send documentations. We suggest that you don't do it. You'll be automatically disqualified. And with that, on the next slide, I see Ms. Miriam Colon is here, and she will talk about the Shutter Venues Operations Grant.
I want to thank Congresswoman Yvette Clarke for allowing me to be part of this town hall. So next slide, please. The Shattered Venue Operation Grant Program was established by the Economic Aid to Hard-Hit Small Businesses, Nonprofits, and Venues Act, and amended by the American Rescue Plan Act. The program includes over $16 billion in grants to shattered venues to be administered by the SBA Office of Disaster Assistance. Eligible applicants must qualify for grants equal to 45% of their gross earned revenue, with the maximum amount available for a single grant award of $10 million. $2 billion is reserved for eligible applicants with up to 50 full-time employees. Who can qualify? Next slide, please. Eligible entities include live venue operators or promoters, theatrical producers, live performing arts organization operators, museum operators, motion picture theater operators, including owners, and talent representatives. Other requirements of note: you must have been in operation as of February 29, 2020. Venue or promoters who receive a PPP loan on or after December 27 of 2020 will have the SVOG reduced by the PPP loan amount. Next slide, please. How to apply. Go to the SBA website, www.sba.gov/SVOG. Those who have suffered the greatest economic loss will be the first applicants processed under the following schedule. On January 20th, 2021, SBA updated the proposed plan for issuing grants during the first and second priority periods. To clarify, priority awardees will not need to satisfy the small employer set-aside. During the first 59 days of opening SVOG, the SBA will reserve no less than $2 billion of program funding for grants to entities that have no more than 50 employees. Next slide, please. How to apply for the SVOG. The first priority is the first 14 days of grant awards. The entities that suffered a 90% or greater gross revenue loss between April 2020 through December 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The second priority is the next 14 days of grant awards. Entities that suffered a 70% or greater gross revenue loss between April 2020 through December 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The third priority is beginning 28 days after the first and second priority awards are made. Entities that suffered a 25% or greater earned revenue loss between one quarter of 2019 and the corresponding quarter of 2020. Supplemental funding available after all priority periods have passed. Recipients of first, second, and third priority round awards who suffered a 70% or greater revenue loss for the most recent calendar quarter as of April 1st, 2021 or later. Next slide, please. To get technical support with the SVOG portal, applicants can call the 800 number, 800-659-2955, or for the deaf and hearing and hard of hearing, 1-800-877-8339, and follow the prompts to SVOG assistance. The call center is open from 8 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night Eastern Time, 7 days a week. If you go to the portal, it's going to show you the frequently asked questions regarding the shuttered venue operation grants. It's going to have the SVOG application checklist. It's going to have an SVOG application user guide and the SVOG specific version of the IRS Form 4506T, cross-program eligibility on SBA COVID-19 options. The IRS Form 4056T is a form that verifies everything that you have put into your income taxes for the year 2019 and 2020. Everything on your application must be the same exact information that are on your tax records. Failure to do so will be an automatic disqualification of your application. Please make sure that all the documentation that you're providing is the same exact thing that you will put into the application. Failure to do so will be a problem for you, and you will not have access to this free money. Thank you.
Let me thank you, Ms. Colon, for taking the time from your busy schedule to share this very important information with us this afternoon. We are grateful to you for all of the work that you do on behalf of small businesses in our city, and look forward to continued conversations as we navigate our priority companies and businesses through this process. To Ms. Abreu and Ms. Daniels, if you could once again share with us the phone number, the hotline. I know that there were a couple of folks who had asked the hotline number, the 844 number. We're giving out a lot of information, and folks just want to hear us repeat that phone number once again.
The hotline number is 1-844-279-8898. I'll repeat it again, 1-844-279-8898.
Thank you so very much. Once again, Ms. Abreu, have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. Next, we have a great friend of the office, Mr. Deshaun Mars, who is the Senior Director of Business Recovery at the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. It's so great to see you once again, Mr. Deshaun Mars. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. Thank you for having the Brooklyn Chamber join. And probably the most important thing that you did not mention is that I'm a constituent, born and raised in the district. So anything that I can personally do or the Brooklyn Chamber can do to support the constituents of our wonderful district, we are absolutely there. We are proud and happy to have such a champion for small businesses in DC. So thank you so much, Congresswoman, for all of the amazing work that you're doing to support our businesses. So good afternoon again. My name is Deshaun Mars, Senior Director of Business Recovery at the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. And there was a lot of great information that was just shared about both the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant and then also the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. So I'm not going to repeat all of the information that you just saw, but I'll talk through some of the support programs that we have available at the Brooklyn Chamber to help you navigate all of this information, all the support programs, all the grant and loan applications that are out there. I know for me, sometimes I get overwhelmed with all of the information, but I'll talk through what support we have available at the Brooklyn Chamber to just really cut through all the noise and to help you navigate all of the different programs and applications that are out there to support your business. Now, so I see that's the SBDC's information. Can you pull up the Brooklyn Chamber's information really quickly? So while we're pulling that, perfect. For those who are not aware or familiar with what we do at the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, we are an organization that we like to call ourselves the eyes and the ears of the business community in Brooklyn. So it's our job to make sure that we're advocating for the business community. We're working very closely with our elected officials, policymakers, legislatures to make sure that everyone understands the implications of different laws or pieces of legislation on the business community. So as you're thinking about all the stuff that the Brooklyn Chamber does, just know that we are here to advocate for the business community and we're here to support you. So I'm going to talk through one specific program that we have called the New York City Small Business Resource Network. And this is a citywide initiative that the Brooklyn Chamber is a part of, where each of the borough's chambers of commerce have a similar program where we're offering one-on-one technical assistance to support our small businesses. But in Brooklyn, we have a recovery team that's working individually with businesses to offer personalized, no-cost guidance to help support you and your business. So as you can see on the screen, there are specific resources that we are helping businesses access. This specific program came out of COVID because we understood how difficult it was going to be for many of our business owners to both survive the pandemic with all of the different shutdowns and all the capacity restrictions. We knew it was going to be very, very difficult for our businesses. So we put together a program to help our businesses navigate the pandemic and then hopefully come through the pandemic in a better situation because we're able to help you survive. So we are offering one-on-one technical assistance. So that's just a fancy word to say we're offering one-on-one support for our businesses to help you access financing. So if you're applying for the Paycheck Protection Program, the EIDL loan, those are both two federal programs. If you needed help accessing financing, we're offering support to get you those capital funds that you might need. We know a lot of our businesses have been able or have been thinking about pivoting and operating in a very different business environment. So as a business owner, you might be thinking about your marketing strategy and how you can expand your customer base. So you might be thinking about, do I need to be online? Am I on social media? Do I have a website? These are all different areas where we're helping our business owners pivot and think about, with this new business environment, how can they start navigating things differently so they can market their businesses and their services to make sure that they have a pretty robust customer base. So we're helping on the marketing end. Technology, like I just mentioned, we have folks on staff that are helping people with their websites. So we've had grants available, and we're also doing one-on-one consultations to help people develop their websites. We're also offering pro bono legal counsel. So if you're dealing with any issues with a landlord, I know that there was an eviction moratorium that was in place, but we're also providing pro bono legal counsel for our business owners to help you think about what rights do you have under your commercial lease. You might be thinking about renegotiating your lease with your landlord. So we have organizations and staff members that are providing free legal counsel for businesses. And lastly, we're also doing one-on-one business coaching. Like I mentioned before, there was a lot of information that you just received about the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant and the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. I know for me, I'm in the economic development space. I am uniquely in tune with all of the support programs that are out there. But even for me, I get confused sometimes about all of the different programs that are available. So if you need one-on-one support to help you navigate all of this information, we are providing that one-on-one help. You can go to the next slide. So in order to access our one-on-one, free, personalized, no-cost, pro bono support, I have to make sure that I hit that point home, that this is no cost to you. You can go to smallbiz.nyc. Again, that's smallbiz, B-I-Z, smallbiz.nyc. And it's a very, very quick intake form, takes less than 5 minutes. You let us know what type of resources you're looking for, and one of our staff members will get in contact with you directly to help you navigate all of these support programs. Again, these are no cost services to you. And for our restaurants, our food and beverage businesses, our bakeries, our caterers, we have a wonderful staff member working at the Brooklyn Chamber who has been in the hospitality space for well over a decade. She's specifically working with our restaurant, food, and beverage businesses. Our entire team can help you navigate all the different resources with the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant and the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. But we do have one specific staff member who is dedicated to the restaurant and hospitality industry. So just know, once you sign up at smallbiz.nyc, you have experts that will help you navigate all of these different programs and will help get you the support that you need to not only survive through COVID, but restrictions are being lifted. More and more people are getting vaccinated. The weather is getting nicer outside. There's a lot of energy now in Brooklyn and New York City about the reopening. We want to make sure that our businesses are in a great position to capitalize and to get through this pandemic. So get in contact with us. Go to smallbiz.nyc, and you have staff members at the Brooklyn Chamber that will work with you one-on-one. So that's it for my part here. I know there's going to be some questions later, and happy to talk about the work that we're doing at the Brooklyn Chamber. But just know one-on-one support to make sure that you get access to all the resources that you need.
Absolutely, Deshaun. Let me thank you for such a very thorough, poignant presentation. I hope that all of you who are on this platform today will avail yourselves of the very important information as provided by the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, and that you will utilize their services. They're there for all of our Brooklyn businesses. And we thank Deshaun for all that he continues to do to help our businesses to survive this pandemic and to come out the other side thriving. And last but not least, we have Eric Parker, the Business Outreach Liaison at New York City's Department of Small Business Services. And I'd like to introduce him at this time. Mr. Parker, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Congresswoman. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Eric Parker, and I'm an outreach liaison with the Department Department of Small Business Services. Thanks to our Commissioner Dose, who's on the line as well as our other esteemed speakers. I have a PowerPoint presentation where I'm going to go over review some of the services and programs that SBS is currently offering to small businesses, and how you can navigate to get those services on a daily basis. Okay, as the Commissioner mentioned earlier, we are the Department of Small Business Services, not to be confused with the SBA, which is the Small Business Administration. They are a partner agency, but they're on the federal level. We provide city services to small businesses. Just to reiterate what the Commissioner said earlier, we help startup and operating businesses by connecting New Yorkers to good jobs, helping businesses to become stronger, thereby creating thriving communities. And how do we do that? We do that with a number of different services that we offer at the agency. Next slide, please. Year-round, SBS provides services to startup businesses by providing comprehensive business courses. On our Eventbrite page, we have a number of course offerings for startup and operating businesses, as well as pro bono legal assistance. If you are a startup business and you're looking for legal counsel as to how to register your business, you can get free counseling from our legal cohorts. As far as navigating government, for small businesses who have issues with understanding the rules and regulations, we have teams that will help you navigate the governmental process. Even if you're in business and looking to get additional licensing or just to comply with the rules and regulations, we have folks that will help you with that as well. If you're looking to sell goods and services to the City of New York, our MWB certification program also provides one-on-one assistance to those individuals looking to sell to city government. That and a host of other services are being offered. You can find all these services on our nyc.gov/business portal. I'll repeat that a few times today because that is where the core of our services lie. Next slide, please. Now, the Congresswoman talked earlier about pivoting. I think since the pandemic, we've all had to pivot in one way or another. Well, SBS has had to pivot our services. Currently, all of our services are being offered online. And we provided some helpful links for you to stay up to date because information is just changing rapidly, and it has been since the beginning. Again, if you go to nyc.gov/business, you will find a list of all of our services. Also, you can text COVID to 692 to get daily updates on just reopening guidelines and other kinds of up-to-the-minute information changes. Also, if you're looking to get information as dictated by the State Department of Health and the CDC, you can go to nyc.gov/coronavirus, as well as the NewYorkForward.ny.gov site for all the state guidelines. The state they have been leading all of the reopening guidelines that businesses have had to comply with. So if you're looking for information on your particular industry, you can go to that website to get additional information. Next slide, please. So we are currently in phase 4. As you know, New York has been reopening in phases. The phase 4 reopening started July 20th of 2020. But since then, there have been a number of different restrictions that have been lifted. And so in order to get a complete list of all of those guidelines that have been lifted, you can go to the nyc.gov site to get detailed information. I have a few updates for you that were recently released. Beginning today, May 10th, outdoor gatherings have increased to 500, while indoor gatherings will be increased to 250 on May 19th. Beginning May 17th, the MTA will resume full 24-hour subway service to all New Yorkers. So getting around the city will be a little more convenient, unlike how it's been over the last year and a half or so. Beginning May 19th, capacity restrictions will be lifted for a number of different industries, including the retail, food service industry, barbershops, and other personal care industries. So all of these industries will be open, but there will be restrictions regarding social distancing will still be in effect. So to the extent that a business can keep social distancing, they are allowed optimal capacity in their place of business. Next slide, please. Okay, so a couple of programs have launched since the COVID shutdown. I'm going to talk about both of these programs that assist small businesses in maintaining social distance as well as maximizing revenues. One is the Open Restaurants program, which launched last year, which allows food service establishments to use curbside to provide dining. For full details on the program and eligibility, you can go to nyc.gov/open-restaurant. Our folks are providing guidance in the area of eligibility. So if you're unclear as to whether you are eligible for the program or to participate in the program, you can reach out to SBS. I'm going to give you the phone number to our hotline, which has been operating since June of last year. I'll repeat the number a few times, but it is 888-SBS, the number 4, NYC, and I'll show you a slide at the end that also has the information, and I'll also drop it in the chat for your convenience. Next slide. Another program that launched in late October of last year is the Open Storefronts program. After the success of the Open Restaurants program, the city decided to assist small retail and service businesses and also using outdoors to increase sales and create social distancing so that they can operate their businesses safely. Under the Open Storefronts program, retail and service businesses can use a portion of the sidewalk to conduct business, provided that they meet the eligibility requirements, meaning mostly centered around no obstructions being on the sidewalk, including bus shelters, tree pits, fire hydrants, and other kinds of obstructions that will impede pedestrian flow of traffic. So if you think that you are eligible for the Open Storefronts program, you can go to nyc.gov Open Storefronts to get more details. If you would like guidance, you could also call our hotline if you have specific questions about eligibility and participating in the program. Next slide, please. Thank you. Additional resources, I mentioned earlier that we have an SBS hotline which operates every day from 9 to 5. We also, on our nyc.gov/business website, we have links to how you can purchase PPE equipment. While supplies last, we're also providing free face coverings for employees to issue out to their employees, as well as business education courses on our Eventbrite page as well. There are a number of course offerings to help businesses pivot to the new normal. Excuse me. Next slide, please. And for those of you who are unclear about the rules and regulations, and there are lots of rules and regulations that small businesses must comply with, we provide virtual compliance consultations. We have a team of folks who are very knowledgeable in the areas of rules and regulations, old outstanding regulations, as well as the COVID-related guidelines. Free of charge, these compliance advisors will virtually provide you a consultation. As I mentioned earlier, all of our services are still currently being offered remotely. So you can go to our website. You can go to nyc.gov/bizconsult in order to schedule a free business consultation, a compliance consultation. If you are eligible, if you are a retail business, or if you are in the personal care industry, or if you are a food service establishment, you are qualified to participate and receive a virtual compliance consultation. And lastly, I mentioned earlier about the SBS hotline, which is 888-SBS, the number 4, NYC. That is 888-727-4692, or you can email us at the COVID-19 website at covid19biz@sbs.nyc.gov. I'm sure you may have a number of questions. I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and I thank you again, Congresswoman, for allowing me to speak today, and thank you all.
Very well. Let me thank you, Mr. Parker, for sharing that information with us. Your commissioner joined us early, and I want to thank him for his participation today. I want to thank Ms. Abreu, Ms. Daniels, Ms. Colon. Let me thank Mr. Mars and bring them back to the fore, because we're going to enter into some questions and answers at this portion of our program. Our panelists will take some questions, And be sure to include your name, your neighborhood, and your direct question, and direct your question to a member of our distinguished panelists or to me. And I'm going to open our conversation with a question from John of Flatbush. And John is asking, am I eligible for a grant if I've transitioned from an in-person to an online restaurant? And he didn't direct it to anyone in particular, but does anyone want to take a crack at that?
Yeah, I can start. Hey there, John from Flatbush.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very, very good question. And I'll say it depends on, so there are different stipulations for different loan and grant programs. So some of those programs, you need to have been in operation at a certain point in time. Typically it's, in 2020, right before the pandemic. There's some programs where you need to have been operating since 2019. So we can support you one-on-one to figure out if your specific situation would qualify for some of the federal programs or some of the other grant and loan opportunities. But it'll depend on, was your specific business operating at a certain time? It really all depends. That's the short answer.
Very well. Thank you. Our next question comes from Al of Bed-Stuy. I've been in business for more than 60 years, but have a limited understanding of technology. Is there a way someone can help walk me through this?
Okay, I can take that. Thank you for your question, Al. SBS provides technical support in the areas of one-on-one consultations through our NYC Business Solution Centers. If you go to our nyc.gov website, you can request technical assistance. There's also a number of webinars I mentioned earlier about our Eventbrite page. There are a number of course offerings that will help small businesses pivot to the new normal, including a new program which isn't even on our PowerPoint deck yet, but it is on the website. It is called the Business Adaptation Playbook. It's a series of workshops that help small businesses sort of recover and sort of adapt to this new environment. So I would strongly suggest that you go to the NYC.gov business portal. Any information you're unclear on, you can certainly call our hotline to get further detailed assistance.
Well, thank you very much for that insight, Mr. Parker. Don't forget, you can reach out to the SBS as well as the Brooklyn Chamber and the Small Business Administration for technical assistance that you may need. And the one-on-one is very important. And I think that please feel free to reach out to Mr. Mars at the Brooklyn Chamber, where they do one-on-one counseling. And I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure that the SBDC.
Yes, we do.
Also provide.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Cologne.
That we provide one-on-one counseling free of charge. Right now, we're doing it virtually, but we have specific COVID counselors that are capable of helping somebody pivot if they don't have any technology. And I just hired somebody today that's an expert in bringing people online. So they could reach out to the SBDC at 718-797-0187 or brooklynsbdc.org for an appointment, and we'll be more than happy to help them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to
absolutely, Ms. Abreu.
I love the SBDC, but we're in Brooklyn. We have 2 women business centers. We have the Business Outreach Center, and we have the Long Island Corporation of East New York in Jamaica Avenue. So besides the Small Business Development Center, we also have the WBCs and we have SCORE. If anybody wants that one-on-one, they only go to SBA.gov resource partner and put the zip code, and they'll give you the nearest location to the Women Business Center, to the SBDC, SCORE, and even for the Veteran Business Outreach Center too. Let's not forget the veterans. Thank you.
All right. Well, there's a wealth of support out there for our small businesses. And Donde Clark asked Ms. Cologne if you could repeat that phone number.
718 797-0187.
And we will make sure that we get to everyone who has participated all of the links and information. You can go to clark.house.gov and we will have all of the contact information that was provided through today's presentation. My next question comes from Chris of Garrison Beach. And the question is, if I received a PPP loan, can I also receive these benefits?
Okay.
Liz, you want that or you want me to take it?
If he's gonna get for the grant for RRF, they're gonna minus any PP that was approved and you've received the money, you're gonna have to minus. So for example, if you go to the revitalization grant, right? You put in 400,000, but you already received 100,000 on the paycheck program protection. So they're minus. So in the end, you have to minus any PP loan. So minus 100,000, so it'll be 300,000. So any PP approved funded that is dispersed the money to you, you gotta keep in mind they're gonna minus that money on the PPP, on the RRF. And the shuttle venue, and you can't have an RRF and also a shuttle venue. It's has to be either or, can't be both. I hope I answered that question.
Very well. Our next question is from Gabriel Torres. If your business closed in 2020, can you still apply, or does it have to be post-pandemic?
Well, with that one, as long as you have some documentation stating that you were in business post-pandemic, and then the next question would be permanently closed due to pandemic or permanently closed because your business could not survive. So that's, you have to ask that question. But if you have your taxes, we are looking for post-pandemic. I hope I answered your question.
I think that was helpful. That was helpful. We'll help folks navigate. Next question is from Gabriel Torres of Brooklyn again. Are there any expenses the money cannot be used for?
Cannot be used for.
Yes.
Okay, with that one, I'm gonna have to say you can check out our website. They have a list of facts and questions there that you can actually read upon. To see, the website would be sba.gov/RRF to give you more insight in regards to that question. I'm so sorry I couldn't answer it correctly the way that you would like to hear it, but if you check out our website, I'm pretty sure that you can find the answer.
And many of these questions are, generally speaking, it's important that you get the one-on-one counseling, that if there's anything that you've seen on the website or that you've heard, that you verify it and make sure that it's accurate and that it's applicable to you and the type of business that you operate. Next question. If the venue that people operate in is part residential, part commercial, how will it be determined, the restaurant business, that how is it determined whether in fact they are eligible? Is it based on commercial space, or is it based on the actual business itself? Does
Can I
anyone want
answer
to take that
question? Regarding that situation, it depends on the revenue that's made on gross receipts from the restaurant. So it's not about you being commercial residential. It's about what's the income and the percentage of income based on both separate properties. Because I'll call it, the commercial property might be the restaurant and the residential might be his income generating revenue, but it's not related to the restaurant. So then it wouldn't apply for the restaurant. That's a separate issue altogether.
Very well. Well, it looks as though we have it received any further questions from our audience today. So you folks are off the hot seat. Let me, first of all, just say how grateful we are in the 9th District to have partners like you on the ground in the community doing this work to help our small businesses survive what has been a traumatizing experience for all of us, but for those in business has really been overwhelming. And let me just, again, just thank you for all of the hard work and dedication and service that you provide to the people of the 9th District of New York, and by extension, the people across New York City and New York State. We are truly grateful for your talent, your skill, and your expertise. And let me say that, we are just really, really excited that these programs have come into fruition for the benefit of the people that we represent in our districts. New York City is the home to small business, small venues, big venues, small restaurants, big restaurants. And we're just really grateful that we were able to make this lift through the American Rescue Plan a reality for so many of you. And I want to really encourage you, don't get discouraged in this process. These benefits are there for you to be utilized. We recognize that small business is the engine that fuels our economy as a city, as a state, and as a nation. And so we want to encourage you to persevere through it all. If you need help, if you need any guidance, we again will have the information of the experts on my website at Clarke, that's CLARKE.house.gov, or many phone numbers and information were given out during this presentation. I hope you took note of that. Again, my staff is in my Brooklyn office ready to help, give you guidance, and connect you with all of our wonderful panelists and their entities and agencies to help you through this process. Don't give up. Don't give in. These dollars that have been allocated in the trillions are there to make sure that we come out of this pandemic stronger than ever before. So let me take this opportunity to thank everyone for joining us for our series on healing in our communities. We will be doing additional forums so that this will not be your last opportunity, but I want to encourage you to do this and engage this right away. Procrastination is not an option. We have a program, a pilot program for priority populations. Those are the most vulnerable businesses in our communities that have been hardest hit by this pandemic. Please maximize and make sure that you utilize this valuable resource. And again, you can reach out to Miriam from the Brooklyn SBDC at 718-797-0187. Miriam Cologne is at the Brooklyn SBDC, and that's BrooklynSBDC.org. Eric Parker, Brooklyn Outreach Liaison for the Department of Small Business Services, can be reached at 212-618-8846. And Deshaun Mars he's the Senior Director of Business Recovery at the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, can be reached at DMars, D as in dynamic, Mars, MARS, at brooklynchamber.com. So let me thank you once again, everyone, for taking the time from your busy schedules to join us today in our healing session for our restaurants and our venues. We look forward to further conversation to make sure that your business is strong is thriving as we come out of this pandemic. And in the meantime, everyone stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong, stay blessed, continue to wear your mask. And if you haven't already, make an appointment, make it your business. Go out and get vaccinated, and then share your experience with others and encourage them to do likewise. That is one way if they want to help you to have a healthy, strong business environment, that they can be of assistance and in partnership for a thriving and healthy New York. So everyone, let me also say that I express the regrets of Senator Schumer. He's doing a million things at one time, including saving this nation. And so we want to thank him for his effort to be with us today. He will probably join us on a future program. So let me thank Senator Schumer for all of his leadership in Washington, D.C. It's a partnership between the House and the Senate, and he is the majority leader of the United States Senate. And thank God he's there. We now have the American Rescue Plan signed into law by President Joe Biden. Everyone have a great evening, and thank you for joining me.